Good morning, everyone. If we could get everybody to come in and take a seat, I would appreciate it. We have a lot to go through, and we want to try to get this thing wrapped up before 11 o'clock so that everybody can get on their way and go see the home tour or do whatever else you have planned for today. So I want to welcome you. We're going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you could join us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. So again, welcome to this year's State of the City. There's a long agenda. Hopefully, if you haven't seen it, it is available at the back of the room. We're going to go ahead and get started working our way through it because we have a lot of material to cover. We're going to get our city manager up here so he can speak to us here in a minute. So again, it's been a very busy year, and we're going to review what's happened this year with you, and then we're going to review the things that we're working on for next year. Once we get done with all that, then we'll have an opportunity for questions if you have questions. I want to start this year's meeting the same way we have started every year's meeting, and that is to review the mission statement for the city. This mission statement guides the council as it makes decisions. It guides our staff as they implement those decisions, and it's important for us to remember what the mission is. And that is, together through responsible government and citizen involvement, we will enhance the city of Litchfield Park while preserving the city's unique beauty, heritage, and community values as fostered by our founder, Paul Litchfield. Today we're going to go through introductions of City Council. We're going to go through introductions of our various commissions, our city leadership. But first I want to thank you for coming and participating in this process so that we can explain what has happened to the city and where we think we need to go with the city. Our agenda includes a variety of things, such as an overview of our city services. We're going to talk a little bit about charter government, Litchfield Square and its special taxation, special sales tax that we may need to pay for the improvements there, various commercial developments. We're going to talk a little bit about Camelback truck study. We're going to talk a little bit about what the legislature is doing to cities like Litchfield Park so that you understand what your legislators are doing and how it may impact your lifestyle. We're going to talk about capital improvements, and we're going to take your questions. So all of that is in these slides, which I just skipped over, but I gave them to you orally. I believe all the slides will be available on our website once the program is done. So anything that you want to see in these slides, please download them. There's a lot of information. Some of the information I may highlight, some of the information I may not highlight, I may just make comments about. So if you want to see it in more detail, please take a look at the slides. So I get to introduce myself as your mayor, Tom Schoaf, and the vice mayor, Paul Faith. We also have all of our councilmen with the exception of one. Our newest member, Justin James, is not able to be here because he's out of town. But we have with us Ron Clare, Ann Donahue, John Romack, and Lisa Brainerd Watson. So we want to welcome them. Thank you for coming. I want to introduce the Design Review Board and Board of Adjustments. We have Susan Charnetsky, who is its chair, David Ledgard, John Romack, Brian O'Connor, and Rachel Dudley. I want to thank them for the efforts that they put in to help make sure that the buildings that we put up meet our zoning codes, and if there needs to be variances, they deal with what those variances are and make sure that the buildings fit into the character of the park. We also want to take a look at our Planning and Zoning Commission and thank David Ledgard, who's its chair, Michael Faith, Brian O'Connor, Vicki Lynn Alvey, Robert Derry, Andrew Frazier, and Deborah Lawrence. Thank you for your service on Planning and Zoning. So finally, we got Recreation, Arts and Park Commission, REPCOM. Anthony Tadai is the chair. Andy Phillips is vice chair. We have Brian Culberth, Brian Faith, Susan Fix, Christopher Gertz, and Adam Schwartz. thank you for all the efforts you put in to help make sure our parks are looking good and are meeting community needs. So now you get to hear from Matthew Williams, our city manager. Matthew's going to go through and introduce city staff and some city service areas. Matthew.
Let's get a big hand for Mayor Tom Schoaf, please. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We can do better than that. It's not that early. Good morning. Good morning. That's better. Thank you. Good to see everybody. Thank you guys for coming here today. As the mayor said, my name is Matthew Williams. I'm the city manager. I'm very blessed to be here with you guys in the city of Litchfield Park. Me and my family live here locally. And again, we feel very blessed and very lucky to be here. I know a lot of you, those of you that I don't know, please feel free to come see me anytime. We welcome any questions. We try to be very citizen involved and here for any question you may have. I will say, a lot of you know this, we will have citizens come see us that assume they are in Litchfield Park because they have a Litchfield Park zip code. And while you may not be city residents, we'll be glad to try to help you if we can. Again, thank you all for being here. So before we get started on leadership, I'd like to thank everyone that's a city employee this morning. If all of our city employees that are here, if you could please stand up and be recognized. Thank you, guys. We appreciate everything that you do. Of course, we have our city leadership team. We have our department heads, and we have all of our employees, and they do a great job. We couldn't do it without you guys. We do have a few employees retiring this morning. We're going to recognize them before I get their slides, make sure I know where they are. So first of all, Sonny, if you please stand up for us. So a lot of you know Sonny. As I like to pick on Sonny and tell him that Sonny has literally worked for this city longer than I have been alive. Sonny has done a great job. Some of you know him as Coach Colbreth. Some of you know him as Sonny. Some of you know him as rec director. Some of you know him as city manager. Sonny has worn a lot of hats over the years. And Sonny is going to be mostly retiring after 42 years of service to the city of Litchfield Park. Sonny was awarded the Agua Hall of Fame Award in 2022. And Sonny will remain on contract with us as needed. He will be doing things. He'll still be emceeing the Christmas parade. He's been doing that for a long time and will continue to do so. He'll also be working with the Block Watch meetings. So he'll still be here being involved. And of course, Sonny will probably forget more about the city than I will never know, just to be honest. So we want to be able to call him anytime we have questions. And again, thank you, Sonny, for your years of service. So we wanted to show you what 40 years of government service do. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Sonny's family, for being here with him as well. Next up, we have Woody. Woody, if you'd please stand. Woody is going to be retiring as well. Woody has worked for us for 17 years, but Woody has also worked for a lot of cities. That's common with positions such as Woody's. You work for multiple cities at one time. So for that reason, Woody has actually served cities for a total of 107 years. So Woody would want me to say, no, he is not 107 years old. Same thing with Woody. He will remain on contract with us as needed for his institutional knowledge and also for the Litchfield Square project. I will say, Woody, thank you for everything you've done for us, and particularly for the Litchfield Square project. Really has really put his heart and soul into it. We appreciate everything that you've done, Woody. Thank you, sir. Moving on to administration. Of course, we have the city manager's department. Again, I'm the city manager here. A lot of people don't know what city managers do. We are responsible for the daily operations of the city business and personnel. Whether it's good or it's bad, we're responsible for it. I do serve at the pleasure of city council. We also have the city clerk, Ms. Cherry Roth, is here with us. And she works with city council, board and commission agendas and minutes elections, as does the clerk's office. records management. Clerk's office does a lot of very important things that really matter. It's important they're done right. They do a great job. We also have our finance department here with us. Our Paige is our finance director, also our assistant city manager, and our intergov wears a lot of hats. Finance department does budget management, audit financial statements, and of course accounts payable. Not always the most exciting stuff, but of course that's part of business. She also does a lot of government relations, and we're going to get into bills in a second. Staff actively monitors legislative activities. We do belong to the League of Cities and Towns. We provide testimony on bills with negative impacts. Recently, I myself testified on the trucking bill. We're going to talk about that in a second. We do support or register in opposition or support or oppose on certain bills. Now we're going to talk to you about some bad bills. One that's coming up is Senate Bill 1063, that's food municipal tax exemption. So what this one does, if it passes, you may have seen there's a lot on social media about this bill. This would eliminate the grocery tax. If this bill passes, this is a $2 million annual loss to the city of Litchfield Park. It just is. It is what it is. And I will tell you, for me, I buy groceries here. We shop here. Personally, I don't look at the sales tax rate when I'm buying groceries. I just don't. It's just part of business. And again, it would definitely affect us, as it will affect a lot of cities as well. I will tell you, as someone that's worked for smaller cities around the state that are very tight financially, there are cities that will lose things if they lose this money. You'll see things, not in Litchfield Park, but you'll see in other cities, things like libraries go away. You just will. So we hope this bill doesn't pass. There's SCR 1023, Charter Cities Repeal. We're going to talk more about charter cities later. This bill is two approvals. One, it requires approval from the legislature, and it would go to the voters. If the voters approved it, it would remove a city's ability to become a charter city. It's very much a way of limiting control of cities. Again, we'll talk more about that. There is a House schedule here, and then on March 29th. Senate Bill 1097, this is our trucking bill we were speaking about. It talks about truck route designations. It restricts a city's liability to have through truck restrictions on anything after January 1, 2020. I will say for me, it's very hard not to feel that this bill is targeted at Litchfield Park. We'll just say that. It also requires a letter of support from all active statewide trucking associations for any restriction. That'd probably be hard to get, wouldn't it? It has passed through the Senate. It has not yet passed through the House. Some more coming up is House Bill 2536, Housing Infrastructure. This is what we call the by right zoning bill. It is marketed as affordable housing, but has zero obligation to make housing affordable. It would allow 10 single-family homes per acre would be allowed by right in single-family zoning districts. Zoning district, zoning codes, design standards, parking requirements go away. The city would have no control whatsoever. Basically what this bill does, it makes it so anyone can build almost anything they want to besides your house. It would have long-lasting impacts for, we have city plans, we have codes, we have.
Matthew, will this reach over there? No, won't go that far.
Can you guys hear me okay? Sorry about that. Thank you for that quick fix there. Council members, as long as you don't try to jump anytime soon, we'll be okay. Again, sorry for that. So getting back to the Byright zoning bill, I think you guys could see the dangers of this bill. So again, please be aware of that. Also, as citizens, as I said, we log in and we vote on bills. Not really vote, but we state our position on that. As private citizens, you can do that too. It's a system called RTS, called Request to Speak. You can go in there and put your votes on these things. Legislators look at that. They look at a bill and see if, hey, if one person thinks it's a good idea and 500 think it's a bad idea, they notice these things. We encourage you to check out that system. Log in there, look at them, check them out, make your voice known. It makes an impact. Moving on to building safety. In 2022, we did see multiple new COs for Litchfield Park Self-Storage, Oasis Water and Ice, Joint Chiropractic, 2 residential custom homes, Taco Bell, and Monument Storage. Some numbers. For 2022, we had 230 building permits and 823 inspections. We're a small staff. We're busy. And 2023 projects, we have Rancho La Loma, that is the Sun Health Project, with 3 of 14 residential buildings completed, 2 under construction. There is a new Carl's Jr. being built on Callenback. I'm sure many of you have seen that. And staff is seeking council approval for adoption of new codes by the end of 23. Our code enforcement department, she does a great job with that. But code enforcement people aren't always the most popular people, but they do a great job, and it's a hard job. In 2022, we had 101 signs. In 2021, we had 208. So you see the various breakdowns. A lot of what she does is dealing with landscaping, debris, weeds, etc. We also have a great human resources department. Again, I'm very blessed with a great staff. We have 47 full-times, 8 part-times, 42 seasonal employees. HR also, of course, does recruitment and hiring, personnel records, payroll, etc. Thank you, our HR staff. For our magistrate court, Judge Ringer, are you here with us? If he is, I didn't see him. Okay. Judge Ringer, of course, is our magistrate judge. Some court stats. In 2022, we had 29 misdemeanors, 12 criminal violations, 125 civil traffic violations, 20 parking violations. And we've also joined something called the West Valley Veterans Court. That's a program for veterans in need of assistance. We haven't used it yet, but it's there if it's needed. Our planning department, thank you everyone that voted on our general plan. It was approved in 2022. That is a requirement for cities. You have to do a general plan every 10 years. We do have our new planning consultant. John, I'm looking for you here somewhere. There he is. Thank you, John. John is our new planning consultant. He's been here with us since last fall. Our solar applications have doubled, and design review applications increased 16%. For our busy public works department, give you an idea of how much public works does. 24 miles of right-of-way, 42 acres of turf, 7 parks, 1 urban lake, 1 baseball field, 1,400 palm trees, and 600 orange trees. Public Works does a great job. It's hard work keeping a city this pretty. They do a great job. Thank you, guys. Our community and rec services, of course, that's aquatics, preschool, special events, and youth sports. I'm going to divide that up some for you. Our aquatics facility, it did get the 2022 Red Cross Facility Award. We are open Memorial Day through Labor Day. Last year we did 995 swim lessons. We have 182 Legardos team members, 700 hours of open swim offered to the public. We had the inaugural Cardboat Regatta program in May. That was a cool event if you saw that. And we always sell out our dive-in movie night in August. We have a great aquatics program. One really cool thing about our aquatics program here is that our council requires our aquatics program or our rec program to have a 50% ROI. That's a 50% return. I would tell you as a city manager that's almost unheard of. Recs generally, they might return 20, 25%. Our return's over 50. They do a great job, and that's a testament to our staff and the great work they do. Thank you, guys. We also have a great preschool department. It is licensed by the state. We follow the same calendar as Litchfield Elementary. We have 57 kids in this program. We have 2 kindergarten readiness classes and 1 class for new learners. And we offer 2 summer camps in June and July. I will say for me personally, my son is starting city preschool this summer. Who knows what he's going to say over there, so we'll see. Special events. We do have 5 large-scale art and cultural festivals. I think we're all familiar with those. Those do an amazing job. On a busy weekend, our art festivals will draw 15,000 people to the city. That's just amazing in a city of this size. We do the Kiwanis Derby and the 10K Run. We have 6 live concerts, 5 small-scale events. We partner with local businesses and organizations. We did receive a $10,000 grant from the NEA, and we have a $60,000 funding from the AOT. That's their Office of Tourism. So again, our special events department does a fantastic job. Moving into youth sports, we do have co-ed leagues in winter, spring, and fall. We have basketball, football, soccer, t-ball, and coach pitch. We have 1,721 youth participants. So I think that's a great number in itself. That's about 25% of the city in that one stat. We have summertime clinics in basketball, soccer, and t-ball, 381 tennis registrants. We have adult cornhole. We also have free children's recreation court use. So please check that out and put use of that facility if you're not already. Avondale PD, would you please stand and be recognized? Let's have a big hand for our PD, guys. Thank you guys for everything you do, for being here this morning. They're here with us on this side. They're here on the back side, too. Avondale PD does a fantastic job. I will say Avondale PD is very much in touch with us. I have an officer in my office almost every day. That does not mean that something is wrong. That means they're going to tell us, here's what's going on, here's what our issues. We have great communications. And again, we're very glad to have them here, and thank you for the job that you're doing. This is something I am particularly proud of. This last year, we added an SRO at Litchfield Elementary. An SRO, for those of you that don't know, is a school resource officer. It was added to the school at no cost to the school as part of the Litchfield Avondale PD contract. Just to be clear, this position isn't guaranteed to be at the school all the time. This position also serves as the SRO, the backup officer, and the detective. So if one of our officers is sick, he covers for them. Okay, so again, they're not guaranteed to be at the school all the time. We are the only elementary school in the West Valley to have its own SRO, and we're very proud of that. Some of you may ask why we only have one at Litchfield Elementary. There's other schools. The reason why, the only public school in Litchfield Park is Litchfield Elementary. For example, Dreaming Summit, which is on Missouri, is very close to city limits, but it's not in city limits. So people ask that question, but that's why. Of course, we can only put an SRO at schools that are in the city. Some police stats for you. From July 22 to January of 23, we had 2,662 calls for service, 309 community contacts, 427 traffic stops. We have 91 flock camera alerts. Those are the cameras you see around the city, and 14 flock camera contacts. Again, for those of you that don't know, those cameras you see, they are not people. They're not traffic enforcement cameras. They are not speed cameras. What they do is track tags. So we know if a crime was committed here, we know what time the car entered the community, what time it left the community. That's what they're doing. If any of you, like me, have ever had that pleasure of getting one of those speeding ticket cameras that they have in Scottsdale, I've had those before. That is not what we are doing here, just to be clear. Do we have Goodyear Fire here with us? Good morning, guys. Thank you, guys. Goodyear Fire does a great job. This last year we had 15 fire calls, 696 EMS calls. Most fire departments, most of their business, thankfully, is EMS calls, not fire calls. We're happy for that. Of those, 54 were good intent calls, 50 were false alarm calls, 297 occupancy inspections, and 153 incidents per 1,000 residents. Again, thank you, Goodyear Fire. And that's all my presentation. Again, I'm going to turn it back over to best mayor in the state, Mayor Tom Schoaf.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm gonna, yeah, no raise for Matthew. Okay, so we're gonna go on now to the actual state of the city. We'll talk about a few things that we've been working on, some things that are new and some things that are ongoing projects. First new thing is Charter City. A charter city is essentially for cities that want to have self-governance and actually write the rules that they have to live by. They form a charter, and the voters, the residents have to vote in the charter. And the charter is essentially like the Constitution is for the United States or the Constitution is for the state of Arizona. It's a set of procedures and rules that govern how the city operates. In Arizona, there are 91 cities. 72 of those cities are like Litchfield Park is right now. We're one of the 72, where our process is the way we act as a council is governed by state law, state statute, and so we're totally at the I'd like to say mercy, but mercy is too charitable of a word for the state legislature. They can change how we operate, and they can change the rules that we operate under anytime they decide to do that. If they can get enough support in the Senate and the state and the House, and they have a governor that'll sign the law, they can change all the rules that we have, and we can't really do very much about it. There are the other 19 cities, such as Avondale, Glendale, Peoria, and Goodyear, have charters that govern how they act and operate. Those charters are not foolproof. You know, the state legislature can still do things to impact the way that those charter cities operate, but the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, has actually given some protection to charter cities that allow them to stay outside of some of these rules and regulations. So we have started a process, and we'll see if that process is successful. We've started a process to determine whether the residents of Litchfield Park want to adopt a charter, and if they do, what the terms of that charter might be. And it will cover everything from how the council operates, how the city manager's hired, which employees are hired by the council and which are hired by the city manager, a whole variety of things. What kind of taxation can the city impose on its residents? Are there limits on that taxation? Are there limits on a whole variety of things? So all those things will be discussed by a group of citizens, and they'll make recommendations, and we'll end up hopefully with a charter. And if that all works, then the charter will eventually come to the residents for a vote to see if the residents support it. We actually have one of the members of the community who is, I think, the first one to sign up so far to become a member of this charter committee that would adopt the charter or recommend the charter to the citizens is Sonny Culbreth. He's out getting signatures, so if you happen to see him, please consider signing his petition. Okay, Litchfield Square. Good news, bad news on Litchfield Square. We're going to go through some of the progress we've made so far in building the infrastructure. We have come a long way. When we approved this project, we had construction estimates that the infrastructure and the park and those kinds of things, the roads and the street lights and the curb and gutter, all of that would cost about $25 million, maybe $28 million. It now is coming in that it's going to cost $40 million. And it's not actually because government runs so poorly that we can't manage our money. We are the victim of the same inflation that everybody feels. The cost of cement, the cost of asphalt, the cost of oil, the cost of labor have all gone up tremendously in the construction field. It is very, very difficult for any construction project to come in anywhere close to budget. So we are at a spot now where instead of spending $25 million, we're going to have to spend $40 million. And the council is dealing with how to do that. We'll go through and you'll see later that we've been very good at saving money, so we have a significant amount of cash. We've also been able to work bond financing into our financial structure so that we're able to do basically the same as you guys do when you borrow a mortgage to buy your home. We use a mortgage to buy some of these assets that are long-term assets. Some of the things that we are looking at, there is an adjustment to our sales tax rate. One path is to go through a process of having a special sales tax rate that applies only to the businesses inside Litchfield Square. That's one thing we're looking at. The other possible option is to go to a system that is similar or possibly even the same as Goodyear uses, where different activities within the city have different sales tax rates. So, for example, in the city of Goodyear, there's an additional 1.5% that is placed on restaurant sales, and there's a different rate that's placed on hotel motel of 2.5%. So we're going to look at these different structures and see what looks like it would be best for our city. A couple of upcoming election items. If we move forward with the next step in the charter city process, there will be an election on November the 7th. That election will be to elect, they're called freeholders. They're the people who will actually meet as a group and draft a charter to be considered by the citizens. If that committee does move forward and they get voted in and they actually get a charter that they want to propose, then the first time that we can look at that is in March of 2024. Now a financial update. If the clicker will, there we go. So this pie chart represents our revenues. So if you look at all the revenues that come into the city, 73% of our revenues come from city sales tax and bed tax. 17% comes from our intergovernmental share of state shared revenue. State shared revenue is a piece of state sales tax and state income tax. The remaining 10% or so comes from a variety of other sources, such as special event fees and recreation fees and those types of things. My clicker is not, there we go. This is a breakdown of the various sales and use taxes. So our 73% is made up of sales, retail sales is the blue column. The orange column is other kinds of retail tax, and the gray column is construction tax. We break these out separately because construction tax specifically is a tax that we do not plan on using for ongoing expenses. So if it's an ongoing expense we anticipate having every year, we don't want to fund it with construction sales tax because construction sales tax can only happen 1 year at a time. So when somebody builds something, there's a tax on it, but if that building activity slows down next year, then that tax goes down. So we use construction sales tax for capital projects and improvements that are one-time expenses for the city. No, we went too far. There we go. So if you look at our revenue without construction sales tax versus our expenditures, what you see is that our revenue coming in every year exceeds our normal repeating expenditures, and it exceeds all of our expenditures, even if we include one-time expenditures in there. What that means is that every year we are able to save a little bit for future projects or for unusual things. We can save to pay for bond financing, for example. And by using those savings, we're able to smooth out fluctuations in the amount of revenue that comes into the city. If you look at total revenue versus total expenses, again, the total revenue is the yellow line. Total expenses is the gray line. So you can see that we're always above our total expense line, which generates savings for the city. We are continuing to work on commercial development. One of the reasons why our revenue picture is so positive is because the council has been very steadfast in not allowing excess amount of residential development in favor of commercial development. So over the years, the land that is at the corner of Camelback and Dysart, the land that's at the corner of El Mirage and Camelback, we had intense pressure from the owners of that land to put residential development on that land. And we basically refused to change the zoning. We kept the zoning, commercial zoning, and what we've ended up with is significant commercial development on those corners that otherwise would have been residences. Unfortunately, residences cost the city money net on net basis. Every time we add a house, it costs the city budget. Whereas when we add commercial development, the commercial development is able to add money to the city budget. So the commercial development pays for the residential development, and we have worked very hard to keep the balance between those two. This year we've had new developments such as Take 5, the flex storage space that's at Monument Point. There's an athletic facility at Monument Point. We have the villas at Camelback, and we have Heritage Partners, who is the first development that we hope will get started in Litchfield Square. Which brings us to Litchfield Square. Everyone, I think, probably knows the history of Litchfield Square. This started as a conversation in the city as far back as 1996. In 2014 through 2017, the council started acquiring land, and you can see the pictures here with the different pieces of land that we acquired over the years. At the end of the day, we ended up with 30 acres in the downtown area between Wigwam Boulevard and Litchfield Road. The concept of Litchfield Square is, instead of having a retail complex that's designed to fit around an anchor store, like the Fry's complex that's up on the north side, that commercial development is based to be anchored by the Fry's Marketplace. Fry's Marketplace brings in a tremendous amount of activity, which then supports the other businesses that are located around it. Well, we decided that would not be appropriate for the downtown area of Litchfield, and it would not be something our residents would want to see. And instead, what we designed this complex, a retail complex, to be is anchored by a park. And that's the general drawing of the park itself. The park has gone through a variety of public meetings. It's had a lot of input, really designed almost entirely by the RAPCOM Park Committee. It is a park that's designed to be used by our residents, designed to be useful for our festivals. It's designed to bring people in from other parts of the valley to come in and use the park and hopefully use the businesses that are located around it. I know everyone here is real familiar with all the construction work that's been going on. It seems like we've been moving dirt forever. In the very center of Litchfield Square are these big concrete tanks. And you say, well, what are the concrete tanks for? And they're literally under the park. And what they are is a central place for all of the stormwater drainage in Litchfield Square will drain into those tanks. And that means that each of the businesses that build in Litchfield Square can build a building on their all the way to a zero lot line. And they don't have to plan in retention basins and those sorts of things. They will literally, as stormwater hits their property, it will be directed into a drainage system that will go into these tanks. You all have had the fun of getting through the roundabout that we added to Village Parkway and Litchfield Road. Hopefully you've all used the roundabout now that it's constructed. I've used it, and it can be interesting, but I think it long term is going to be a tremendous asset to our community. The traffic does flow, and it flows pretty well. If you're not young and maybe a little stupid and in a Corvette, you don't run into everything. So hopefully everyone will learn how to use that roundabout, and it will be an asset for everybody. The overall plan is shown here. Again, it's retail development that's located around this park. The park, we hope, is going to be the thing that draws people into that development. We have adopted a sign package. Here's some drawings of what the signs are going to look like within Litchfield Square. This is a conceptual drawing of the first building that has been proposed and has been tentatively approved, and we're hoping to see building plans submitted here in the next month or so. It's about 40,000 square feet. It's being built by local developers, local people. It'll be local businesses that will be housed in it. It's got 2 freestanding restaurants, and there will be, at least initially, a parking lot behind the building that may in the future become a parking garage. And here's another picture of the renderings. We're looking forward to the construction of this because we think once this gets constructed and we complete the infrastructure around Litchfield Square, it will change dramatically, that whole downtown area, and I think everyone will be, I think quite frankly, you'll all be happy if all we get is one development in the park. It's gonna be really nice. Another picture of the overall concept. Another picture of the roundabout. Nope, two pictures. Okay, Camelback trucks. Camelback trucks have become a huge problem for us. Because of all the construction that's going on to the west around 303, there is a tremendous need for cement and rock and sand and those sorts of things to build the buildings. And then as these buildings get built, there's a tremendous need for trucks going in and out of them. We have been trying to get Litchfield, or not Litchfield, but Camelback restricted for through trucks to force the trucks to go up and use Northern Parkway, which is what we, as a region, we designed Northern Parkway to be the place where big trucks would go. Northern Parkway hooks right into 303. It'll take you very quickly from 303 down to I-10. And unfortunately, we have not been able to convince the trucking people to use Northern Parkway. A lot of people do, a lot of trucks do use it, but not the trucks that are on Camelback. So we have been working to restrict trucks, and the response from the trucking industry has been to go to the legislature and get the legislature to write legislation that essentially bans Litchfield Park from doing any truck restrictions. So literally, we have been kind of circled out of the herd of cows. We're a lone city out there trying to fight the legislature over these truck restrictions. The fight goes on. It's not over. There is a bill moving forward in the legislature right now. If that bill gets passed, we're going to fight it at the governor's office. And if it gets through the governor's office, we're going to fight it through different legal challenges. We're going to do everything we can to protect the lifestyle of the residents that live along Camelback. Part of what we've been working on is to develop the data that will tell us that those trucks are a nuisance and are impacting the health of the residents that live along Camelback. That data should be available in the summer of 2023, so a few months. We've been working on the collection of that data and having engineers analyze the data for almost a year now. So as that moves forward, that will become an important piece of our response to any legislation that would allow trucks to continue using Camelback. So on to a more fun topic. The Loma Homestead. Everyone, I think, who's here probably is familiar with the fact that the Historic Society has been working on raising the money to build a new museum as part of a revitalization of the La Loma Hilltop. It is a tremendous project. It has been supported by a very gracious matching grant of money from the Litchfield family, the Denny family. The Historic Society, we understand, is making great progress, and we are trying to do our part as a city to try to help that in that progress. The first thing is we went in and we've just completed a cleanup of the hilltop. Everyone who's driven by there knows how overgrown the hilltop had become. The city spends $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and all we were doing is falling behind in keeping the hilltop cleaned up and looking semi-decent. We were able to put together a cleanup project with La Loma, Sun Health, and we spent $180,000 with the city paying, I think, 70% of that. Is that correct, Mr. City Manager? Did we pay 70%? Yes, sir, 70/30. So we split 70/30 with Sun Health, $180,000 cleanup of the hilltop. So now the hilltop looks presentable and is in a condition where the Historic Society could actually start their construction. We're going to continue working on a variety of things up on the hilltop to try to support the Historic Society in getting this project off the ground and getting the building started, because it is a very important, that hilltop is a very important asset for the city. Some of the capital programs that we're working on. we'll go through them in at least quickly. We have various street improvements. We've got a downtown storm drain project. We're working on a parking lot at Staggs Park. We have some improvements that are being planned at Dysart Indian School. And we've got some improvements for our wall and the Camelback Park. This clicker is, there we go. So quickly, we have 4 streets that are going to receive various treatments, 66 streets that are going to have a surface seal put on them. 2 of our streets are going to be micro sealed. 3 streets will have a mill and pavement overlay, so it'll be brand new paving. And we're going to resurface Litchfield Road between the cart path and Camelback Road. So I think everybody who's been on Litchfield Road recently knows, and it's getting in bad shape. So that's going to be new pavement going in on Litchfield Road. And all of those things will start shortly. They're good projects for the summer. Downtown storm drain. When I first became mayor, about 15 years ago or so, we reached an agreement with the county to pay for completion of the storm drain, the water runoff from large storms, to prevent flooding in the city. We had a tremendous problem on the west side of the city, in the area of Old Litchfield Road and Fairway and La Loma, with flooding because of the way the land is contoured and the fact that we had no storm drain. So we went through and we were able to put together a cost-sharing arrangement with the county, and we did the first 2 projects out of a 5-project set. We needed to do all 5 of the projects to resolve the storm drain problems that we have on the west side. Unfortunately, the economy went south for us for a while, and so we, as a city, we decided to drop out of the agreement with the county. We only completed the first 2 projects, and we had 3 projects that were left, and they've been pending projects for the last 12 plus years. Those projects are critical for us to do the development work in Litchfield Square. If we don't do that, and we have a major rain, the rainwater will run right through Litchfield Square and do some significant damage to it. So we worked back with the county, and fortunately we got the county flood control to agree not only to go into the project with us to finish the last 3 parts of the project, but to increase their share from 50% to 65%. So that means we were able to get in and complete these last 3 projects, but we only need to pay for 35% of the cost. So those projects have gone through, and we are in the process of implementing all of them now. The Fairway Drive part of it has been completed. The Neolin Avenue is under construction and will be completed shortly. The next phase is on Old Litchfield Road. That construction will start March 27th, which I think is Monday, and it will have some impact on the way that you use Old Litchfield Road in the area between this church and the businesses and Wigwam Boulevard. Traffic flows will change a little bit. The place where you have to park, will be able to park, will change a little bit. And all those things will be completed before mid-September. It is a very, very important project for the city to get that completed, and I'm happy that it's finally going to be done. Come on, there we go. We also had a stormwater problem in Vista Verde. When a really large rain came into Vista Verde in the past, that rain, and this has happened twice as I can recall during the time that I've been mayor, that rainwater will flow down the streets that lead into Vista Verde into a particular cul-de-sac in that development, and the water is so heavy that it literally flows right through the condos. So the people who live there literally have to open their front door and open their back door and just let the water go because there's nowhere for it to go. It's a really huge problem. It obviously disrupts the lives of the people who live there tremendously. And we needed to fix that. So we were able to get a 75% matching grant from the county, and we designed a new set of catch basins and new stormwater collection areas, and changed the way that the water flows a little bit, so the water will not flow through those condos anymore. So that is an area that project has been completed. Staggs Park. People that drive down Old Litchfield Road when the kids are out playing soccer all know how dangerous that Old Litchfield Road is. There's very few places to park, and the kids and the families tend to go between parked cars across the street between the lake and the park, and it's a very dangerous area. So we have been working with St. Peter's Church to come up with a shared parking lot that's going to be located in Staggs Park. That final design has been approved, and construction on it will start shortly. I think, Councilman Romack, do you know when that is? We're pointing fingers because every time we find out, when's this going to start? When's this going to start? We get these fingers, but it's going to start shortly. Another area where we have problems with parking and another of our parks is Camelback Park. Again, if you go out there when soccer's being played or the kids use that park a lot, the only place to park is along the curve, and when you do that, there's almost no room for two cars to pass each other, much less two cars to pass each other and not potentially hurt some family member. So we are in the process of designing and trying to figure out the funding for improvements to that park. The first part of the improvements is we're going to move the wall that's on the park. We're going to move that wall out to the actual right-of-way line. And by doing that, it's going to picks up another acre of land for the park. So the park will become a little bit larger. Excuse me. Once we get that extra land, then we have designs, at least preliminary designs, to put in a parking lot in the area that's up along that wall. And that parking lot is going to fit in a way so that it will hopefully not detract from the beauty of the park. We're looking at things like there's some grass pavers that actually are pavers, but they have grass and it looks like grass, so that you'll have an area to park on that still will look like it's part of the park. So that design is something we're working on now. We're also in the process of designing the fence the block wall that will go along that property line. And that block wall there's some various designs for either a solid block wall that's similar to the other walls that we've built, or possibly a wall like that also incorporates some sections where you could view, it's called a view wall, so you can see through it a little bit. And those designs will go mainly to the residents that live in those areas, and we'll get input for which type of wall they prefer. We've already done some of that, and there are some people who want only a solid wall. They don't want to see out through to Camelback or to Dysart, and others would like to have some view features. So we're going to try to work through all those issues over the next year or so, and getting that wall built. Community highlights. It was interesting. I was driving into this meeting this morning, and I was thinking about this State of the City address, and I noticed as I'm driving along Bird Lane, we've got people out. Literally, they're running, and we had a run of some sort. I think the Boy Scouts had a run, so we had cones set up for the kids to run. We had adults running along the sidewalks and in the street. Come down Old Litchfield Road, we got people walking, taking their dogs out. You got the home tour being promoted for the Historic Society. We got golfers going off on the golf course. We got people on the tennis courts. We have tremendous amount of activity in the community. So some of those things that are more organized are things like tree planting. We've planted a tremendous number of trees to replace trees we've lost, and we want to keep our designation. I don't know if you all know, but we have been designated as a Tree City America, for probably as long as Litchfield's been a city, and we want to maintain that. We want to keep the community beautiful. We've had a Public Works and a RAPCOM community volunteer event where, I don't know if you've noticed, but almost all of our our orange trees have been painted white on the base now. Those are all things that are done by volunteers, so it's not something that we're hiring a contractor for, but it's because people in the community want to keep the community beautiful. And with that, that's the state of our city. We're going to have comments from our council, and then we'll have a time for public questions. Councilman Clare, would you like to start since I'm right here with this mic?
First, I want to say thank you to everyone that's come to the meeting today. We greatly appreciate that you're the reason that we're here. I also want to say thank you to our city staff, Avondale PD, Goodyear Fire. We truly appreciate the work that you do in keeping the community safe. It's a huge difference in support that we've had from y'all, and it is greatly appreciated from everybody here. I want to acknowledge Tom Rastosi. He served with us in the last council, decided not to run for re-election. And then we have Justin James, who's joined us. Unfortunately, he could not be here today. One of the things I wanted to comment on is Litchfield Square. It's great to see the energy that's going on in there. And once we do get the traction going, I just think it's going to create momentum to have an additional things happening. But all goes well. We should have some breaking ground here in the not-too-distant future. I want to acknowledge Sonny and Woody. Thank you for your time serving the city. You guys have been great to me individually, and I know you've served the council very well and the citizens very well, so I just wanted to make sure I said thank you to that. And the Historical Society, support the home tour today. It's great to go out there and see the changes and see what's happened in the city and how people are taking the old homes and remodernizing and being able to see the growth of the city and enjoy it. It's what those types of things are what makes this city so special. And for that, I'll pass it on to John.
Thank you, Ron. Welcome. We're glad you all are here. It's fun to hear Tom give a state of the city. It's always nice to see the highlights that he comes up with. One of them I'd like to mention is the homestead, the Historical Society, and the remodeling of the homestead. It's a bigger picture than just the house and the museum. There's a whole issue going on with the property directly south of that. They call it an orchard for a reason, they being Sun Health. And I think that over the years, that property is only going to develop and become more and more of a significant part of the community of Litchfield Park. Talking about Staggs Park, I'm a member of St. Peter's Church, which is just south, and what we did is we got together with the city and came up with an agreement where the park will go half on the church property and half on the park, and then all the exit of the traffic will be out through the St. Peter's parking lot, which we got a right-of-way from the diocese, and so it just works to everybody's benefit to get some of that traffic off of Old Litchfield Road. With that, I would agree with Ron. It's nice to have had the experience of Tom Rastosi on the council, but looking forward to working with Justin James. With that, I don't know where you're going here.
Nope, can't hear. No. Okay, so I got to hold it up right here. The Litchfield Park Historical Society is really excited and very pleased for the support, thankful for the support we get from the city, thankful for the support we get from our community. We are undergoing, I'm putting on a different hat here as the Historical Society past president, undergoing some changes in preparation for the big change of moving to the top of the hill. And so you may start seeing our organization referred to as the PW Litchfield Heritage Center, or the LHC. We're the same group. It's just a rebranding effort that's going on right now. Along with the rebranding, we are kind of changing we are changing our outreach. Litchfield has a unique story, but that story carries into the Southwest Valley. So there are communities around us that have been equal impact or had an equal impact on the growth and development of what we know today as the Southwest Valley. So City of Tolleson, City of Avondale, City of Goodyear, all have important stories that we need to capture, that we need to share, and we need to make sure people coming down in the future understand why this area of Arizona is such a wonderful place to be. We need to develop a sense of pride of place. And so that's what that's all about. So still the same group of people, still the same organization, and they appreciate your support. We appreciate your support. Again, home tours today. If you're in a hurry to get there, follow me. I'll be running there. People want to live here. Litchfield Park has been developed very thoughtfully, very carefully from its inception, and through the guidance of our city council and our city people, we've kept and maintained an identity and a lifestyle that not everybody has. You know, my husband and I had the pleasure of making some new friends the other day, and they bought into Litchfield Park over a period of 3 years. It took them 3 years to actually get a house, because every time they would go on a market, someone else would buy it before they could get their realtor involved. But their explanation was that they wanted to live in the walls in Litchfield Park because they want to be able to walk to church, they want to be able to walk to the restaurants, they want to be able to walk to our city center once it's done. And that's the lifestyle that we're going to continue to afford all of our residents. It's an exciting time to be a part of things. Finally, I always have one admonition. Please remind yourself, other drivers that you know and love, that the four-way stop down here at the restaurants in the city center, the center of the city, is a four-way stop. I think a lot of people see the circle and you think, oh, traffic circle. There's nobody here, I just tool around it. No, it's a four-way stop, and we need everybody stopping at it. Bicyclists, we need walkers, pedestrians doing what they're supposed to be doing. Every time I drive through, I just pray that somebody doesn't get killed there, because it has the potential for that. So that's my only safety Sam admonition, and all. Thank you for being here, and pass it on to Ann.
Greetings. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming. It's a busy day in Litchfield Park. I actually want to start off with people who have asked me, notice that our city... Right in here, okay. What am I doing?
You're cutting in and out.
I see that, but what's the problem? Right here, okay. Anyway, you notice we have city event Instagram, but I've had numerous people ask me, who's doing our creative Instagram? Well, I would like to introduce all of you to the face of Instagram who's here today, and it's Chuck Emmert. Chuck, please stand up. Chuck is a longtime citizen, and we're very lucky he retired from the city of Phoenix, where he wore many hats, but one of which he did their Instagram page. And you'll notice how creative the videos and pictures, of which he's doing from his bicycle, I believe. So I just wanted people to see that that's the face of Instagram. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Secondly, I just have to bring up the roundabout. Believe it or not, I've had a couple of people tell me they love it. They use the word love it. Now, not everybody, but I think just like the speed bumps on Bird Lane, everyone knows it's not going away, so we learn how to drive it. And honestly, I think the numbers are something like 15 to 20,000 cars a day go north on Litchfield Road. So 4 or 5 accidents, that's not too bad. And just follow the person in front of you and take a right. But I think it's awesome, and it's certainly working. Anyway, Christmas lights. Oh, I just want to applaud. I think they were awesome this year. Public Works worked with an outside entity, and I just love that we lit up the town, and we're going to continue to do that and even add some more. So I just had to compliment that. That was one of my little projects to make us pretty. Secondly, today we have Jody Gunning, superintendent. Okay, now what did I do? Why do I have this messed up? Jody Gunning, our superintendent of Litchfield Elementary School District, is here with us today. And Jody, stand up. I just want to switch microphones. Anyway, I really want to applaud Jody. Jody is retiring in June. She came on with the district. I worked with Jody in 2017, which means she ran through the, coronavirus, is still handled after, and I just think you've done a human job. I'm very proud of you, and I'm so thankful that we had you during these 5 years. I just wanted to give you a last hurrah in front of everybody. And again, you mentioned the mayor. We only have one single solitary school, public school in Litchfield. So she manages 17. And thank you for your yeoman work at the school district. I will also mention that the school district is actually doing a survey of stakeholders, all of which we all are. It's on their website. It's anonymous. If you have any types of information you want to pass on and what you'd like to see in a leader coming forth and so forth, feel free to do that. Last but not least, two things actually. One is every one of us is available by email, in the grocery store, in the parking lot, and we hear from a number of people, but it's really important that we do. I've often said the best action that happens is from parking lot conversations, when people stop you and talk to you, and we don't know everything. We don't see everything. So please know that we, especially every one of us, listens to the citizens, and good or bad, and many times takes action according to those parking lot conversations. And then last night we had a little celebration at Ron Clare's house. It was fabulous for the Historical Society, and Judy Cook, who's the main person with Nancy Schaefer raising money, said because of the cleanup, truly, she's had numerous people contact them about donations. Wow, that's awesome. And I also heard really good news that potentially through a grant, we're really close to being at the final, let's dig the dirt. So that's gonna happen sooner rather than later, and I keep saying it's incredible destination, bringing people out. Last but not least, I always end with a quote. Today's quote is from Benjamin Franklin. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. Cheers.
Wow. I think everything has been said almost by all my fellow council members here. Last year we had elections, and the mayor was reelected. Councilwoman Brainerd Watson was reelected. We have a new council member, Justin James, who's not here today, and I was reelected. And I want to thank the citizens for their confidence and support in me going through that process again. I also want to thank the council. I missed the council meeting in January when we were seated. I happened to be ill, was on the phone at that meeting, but I want to thank you for your support in me. I was elected for the 8th or 9th term as your vice mayor. And I really, I want to thank you. The confidence in me in doing that is really sincerely appreciated. I want to mention the mayor also here. The mayor is a non-paid position, and Tom has taken this thing into almost a full-time job. The time and effort he has given to this city and his vision as to where we are, where we're going, has been outstanding. So if you do get a chance, thank him personally for the time and effort he has donated to every one of us. The time that he spends with this city compared to the other 6 of us on the council, I'm not sure the 6 of us together, if we added all of our time together, would come close to the time that he gives to this city. So if you get a chance, say thank you to the mayor. Okay, I'll take my tip now. No. And, oh, thanks. Yeah. And the last thing is the Avondale Police Department and the Goodyear Fire Department. I want to thank you. If you have gone to the greatest you've given us the most phenomenal service. In the years that I've been sitting here, all the hundreds, if not thousands, of citizens I've spoken with, people that you've had contact with, people that you've served, I have yet to hear one complaint, and that is rare. So the job that both of you do, both of your departments do, has been outstanding. So I want to thank you on behalf of our citizens for what you're doing for us. Thank you.
Councilman Romack just asked me, if you're all here, who's minding our store with the, from Avondale Police? Is there a policeman out? Just you're out, okay. That's right, there's no trouble because Romack's here. Okay. This is the time for anyone who would like to ask questions to the council for anything that's been on the agenda. So I don't have any requests to speak at this point. If anyone would like to speak, they have to fill out a little form that just gives us your name and address so we can make sure we can contact you. So does anyone have a question that they want to ask?
Or a complaint.
Yeah. Complaints are done next week. All right, well, if there are no questions, thank you for coming. We appreciate your time, and enjoy your day.